Hello, my name is Michael Castano, and I will be demonstrating the fundamental data communications and internet concepts and helping to choose what kind of network the medical office should use. So basically, first we're going to start off with communications. Computer communications allows a network of computers, devices share information such as data. This includes, but not limited to, the emails, patient information, instant messaging, fax, website usage, and much more. So in your medical office setting, this really helps, the doctors and the nurses and the administrative assistants collaborate with each other, sending, different data of the patients and their information back and forth and what they need, and can really show, a team effort. So what do you need to transfer this information? Well, first you need a sending device. So the first sending device would be considered a computer. Then you need a communication channel, which this would be your network connection. So it could either be the dial-up or the Wi-Fi, the broadband, and stuff like that. And then it needs to be sent to a receiving device, such as another computer or a phone or a printer. And even in this case, you could do any other device that is able to connect to the internet. You must first choose an internet service provider. Depending on the office location and the budget, you'll need to choose an internet service provider. Many of them are big companies such as Verizon, Optimum, Time Warner, and DirecTV. This includes sometimes a bundle. You could use phone, internet, and cable, and TV for one price. So it really depends on your budget of how much you're willing to spend and what location is, because sometimes Optimum won't go to certain areas in New York, and Verizon Fios won't go to certain areas in New York as well. So it really depends on your location. An internet service provider is an organization that provides the access to the internet for a fee. This usually is a monthly fee. So choosing either a dial-up connection, which is through a telephone line, and tends to be a lot slower, and sometimes you can only use one connection at a time, or using a broadband connection, such as cable or DSL. So what this medical office might need is that the medical office is staffed with multiple people, and it would be beneficial to have groupware. So groupware helps groups of people share information such as patient data, documents, or scheduling over a network. This will create a collaborative environment, like I said before, between administration, the doctors, and the nurses. This will really get everyone on the same page, and it could help transfer, imaging and lab values, and even billing, just to see if everyone is up to date on everything, and they're all under one. So it's all the information under one roof, but sharing between each different computers. So choosing the right network. So there's various types of networks, so it's important to choose the ideal network that fits for this medical practice. A local area network, known as a LAN, is a network that connects the computers devices in a limited area. So this would be good if you don't ever plan on expanding. If it's just one medical office, a LAN network would be fine. If it's a small area, a wireless LAN is similar to the basic LAN but requires no wire. So this could be considered one broadband modem connected to like a wireless Wi-Fi, and then each computer could hook up to that Wi-Fi. If the company was looking to expand the practice over the metropolitan area, you might want to consider a metropolitan area network, known as MAN, which is a network that could cover large geographic areas. So in expanding the practice, you might want to consider this going forward. This just shows the local area network, and this shows the metro area network, kind of like a small circle sharing computer information, and then a larger going from house to I think city hall and buildings. So choosing the communication device. So the communication device is a type of hardware that allows the transmitting of data between devices. So you would need, like, the first slide that we wrote up is the sending device, the communication channel, and the receiving device. So communication device is a type of hardware that allows transmitting data between devices. You'll need a router or a hub, below in the right corner is basically your router, and that can be hooked up either through a wire to the computer, or it can be hooked up to a wireless modem, which allows Wi-Fi, sending out internet access to various devices. A router connects multiple computers and transmits the data wirelessly to the desired device on the network. A hub connects multiple devices in a network together, but they all must be in the same network. So if you have a hub, and let's say you want to transfer all this data between the nurses and the doctors and the administrative assistants, they all must all be plugged into one connecting device, such as this. This is an example of a hub. One, as you can see, the one box, and then many little subcoordinates that everything else can be plugged into, such as the TVs, the docking station, the printers, more hubs. How much of what do you need? So depending on how much data you'll be transferring or how fast you would like to travel, the data to travel is dependent on the bandwidth and the latency. The bandwidth is the amount of data that can travel over a communication channel. So certain networks have a certain amount of bandwidth they're going to give you. Depending on how much data you need, each megabyte, gigabyte of data costs money. So you might want to look at your budget and see, okay, well, how much data are we really transferring? Is there a lot of imaging, a lot of x-rays and blood works and emails that we're transferring? Because we're going to need a large bandwidth. Next is latency, is the time it takes the signal to travel from one location to another location. So how much of a rush are you in? How fast do you need this information to get out? Would you have to go really, really fast? You might want to consider, a high latency modem. If you don't care how long the information gets traveled to, then you could go back to the old school and use dial-up and plug it into a phone jack. You want to consider Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is a local area wireless technology that allows electronic devices to exchange data or connect to the internet. So some of the perks to Wi-Fi is it limits the amount of wires needed, so the nurses and the doctors and administrative assistants won't be tripping over everything. This can also be used by patients in the waiting area, so if they're sitting in the waiting area, and this will help them entertain them, they can connect to the Wi-Fi of the building and watch videos, exchange text messages and emails, and continue on their business while they're waiting to be seen by the doctor or the nurse. Also, they connect cellular phones to improve services. So if there's limited service in the medical building, the workers and the patients can also connect to improve their service, over text messaging and some phones. And also it allows all the devices to connect to each other. So if you want to do something, let's say, as wireless printing, it'd be good to get a Wi-Fi, because some printers can wirelessly print from your computer because they're on the same Wi-Fi network. So when you do consider getting into the network and you choose the right one and the service provider and the bandwidth and latency, you really have to consider security. There could be a breach in security between the network and the computer. This is called spyware. So it's software that aids in gathering information from a computer without the owner's knowledge. So this could be happening right under, the worker's nose, and they won't realize it. And this is really important to consider because there's a huge law, HIPAA, which is the Privacy Act of patients, and if that gets breached, then the medical office could be in a lot of trouble. So it'd be beneficial to purchase anti-spyware software to protect the privacy of your patients. And what this does is it basically watches out. It watches your back while you're not by the computer, or you don't realize something else is on the computer that's hacking into information. Thank you. If you have any questions, please email me.